Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Coming at you from, once again, Eagle River, Alaska, just outside of Anchorage. And the breath there, it's about 5 degrees today. We're doing some more indoor activities, but I thought I'd take you outside because we've had really cold days the last several, and a lot of fog, and just these amazing frost sculptures on everything, the trees. Beautiful and kind of dangerous out here. But what we are going to do today is I'm going to do some repair on my son-in-law and my daughter's house here. If you've paid attention to the news, there was an earthquake in Alaska several weeks ago. So I'm going to show you some interesting earthquake damage. It's maybe not what you're thinking, but I'll show it to you and then explain how it happened. So come with me on inside here, won't you? Because it's too cold to be out here, and I don't know why I'm wearing because I'm wearing my Grandpa Shark, Grandpa Shark shirt. So I thought you ought to see it out here outside. Now right here is part of the earthquake damage. This is Bella. So this is the guest room that we stay in when we visit here. And here is the earthquake damage that was caused. Bella, what we guess is Bella got trapped in here when the earthquake happened and freaked out and decided to get out of here. So she tore up the carpet and tore up the door, casing here. Door frame. So, and the trim on this side was completely tore up to about right here. So we've already removed the trim from both sides of this, and we are going to change out a door. So yeah, maybe not the earthquake damage that you would expect, but that's what you get. So they got really lucky here. No damage on their house. Dresser fell over. I think they had a broken TV, fell off. And that was about it. But going around town, you see a lot of broken windows, a lot of plywood up. The McDonald's here in Eagle River is closed and will be closed, I guess they said, for over a month for some repairs. But this is what we'll be repairing here. Installing a door. Okay, to start, we removed the door off of here. And if you look at how this thing is hung in the rough opening, you can see there is a ridiculous amount of space here, so we're gonna have to make some shims up on this, and it's pretty close on this side. What we might do is just put a few more shims on this side and kind of center it a little bit, but it's all about getting it squared up. So we're going to start removing this frame here real soon. What'd you do with my beard?
That's a guilty dog right there.
I already got the dog in the video. All right, so like I said, the first thing we got to do is get this off of here. And as you can see, when they installed it, they didn't even put any shims here. They put a shim here, but they didn't even really catch the nail, just barely caught that nail. And then the only place they really got it attached well was at the bottom. Look, the dog destroyed the drywall a little bit too. The top, 2 small nails in there. And I don't even see anything across the very top up here. So it's kind of a crappy install. But I think what we're gonna try to do is just kind of wiggle it a little bit, get these loose, and then we don't really care about saving this frame. So if we can just wiggle it loose a little bit, get it out, then we'll be able to pry off whatever's holding it on this side, which is probably just a couple of sets of nails, and we'll get this one out. The new door frame and door is right here. And what we're going to end up having to do is measure the outside of the frame here and then cut this down to whatever size we need to fit into the rough opening. So let's get this out of here. I guess we're going to have to. This is for you. Go ahead and fixed.
I don't want to put some nail in anyone.
Ta-da! Narrate, Samantha. Narrate, Samantha. Was that dog responsible for any damage?
That dog is not the responsible dog. He's innocent.
Well, what we're doing now is we're taking the hinge pins out, take the door off the new frame. It appears that we may just get lucky and this thing might fit as is. All right, we moved the door frame inside of here, and we've already used the air nailer. We put a couple of small, what are these, maybe 1/4 inch shims on this side, because remember how thick of a space there was on this side, and there was hardly any shims on that side. So we decided to bring it out a little bit, just to try to center it and make it a little bit stronger. So next we are going to get this door frame moved in here, and hopefully we can get it plumb and level, all those kind of good things. My son-in-law Luke is here, so I'm putting him in charge because no one wants me to run this. So you can see we got pretty good level here, and we're gonna want to try to keep it mostly flush with the opening on both sides here. Otherwise, when you put trim on it, it's not gonna match up. And if you look at this, let's see if we can get this on here. You know, we're off a little bit on level, but if we put it level, this door frame will be hanging out at the top. So then the trim would be sticking way out here and way in on the other side. So sometimes when you're working on houses like this, you just have to work within the parameters of it to make it look good, even though it's not level or plumb exactly. It's just something you end up having to do, because getting it perfect would involve tearing the whole house down and rebuilding it, and we're not going to do that. So the next thing we're going to do, is we are going to get some screws through this door frame and so through the frame and through these shims that we put on here and into the actual studs of the wall. Before that, we purchased some of these finished screws. You could use nails. I think these are going to provide a lot more support than the nails, and especially if you saw how easily we tore that old one out of there. Those nails weren't doing anything, but then again, they didn't have shim stock between them. So what we're going to do, get the screws up here on this side, get this one completely or as level and plumb as we can get it within the parameters that we got to work with, and then we will make sure the top and the side all fit in here as well, because it has to be square across. So what we're going to end up doing is measuring across from the top to make sure the door fits, and then across from the bottom as well. As you can see right now, we're sticking way out here and we're way up there. That's all that's involved in that. Let's move it a little bit. So let's get these on here and we will continue on. So we're using the screws and driving them in through the shim stock. And I've driven that one in. Let's see if we can get some light on the subject. I've driven it in just a little bit below the surface. So then when we're done, we can go over this with either some wood putty or some silicone caulking, and you won't even know that they're there. I've already got the middle ones in, and we'll get the top ones in as well. This thing is going to be way stronger than it was, that's for sure. So by shimming out this side a little bit, we have closed this gap a little bit, and we cut some shims down here. Lucas found some 1/2-inch boards that he had, and they're not quite exactly right. We need about 5/8. So to fill in the remainder, we purchased this pack of shims here. So what we'll do is we'll put this one in, and then we'll feed one of these shims in here to fill in the remaining gap. And as you can see, they're kind of at an angle. So what you ideally want to do is to fit one from each side, like that. So we might try that and see what we can do. We have plenty of shims, but we don't need very much. We probably need 1/8 of an inch. So what I'm guessing we're going to do is feed one in like that and one in like that, just to fill it and get us equal. Because what we're going to do is measure across here. Whatever measurement we get there, we're going to put another shim here and another one in the bottom, so we have equal distance across. And then we'll probably put some screws in the top, even though it didn't have any, because we don't want to leave this crappier than it was, but we want to make it better. All right. Okay, so we put a shim just a little bit behind on this one and in front on this one. So what you can do is you can snap them off like that. You can see it left a little bit out here, but we can either cut that with a razor or a saw or whatever. You can also just use a saw and cut them off. Doesn't really matter. There you go. So before we did this, we checked our level across the top here as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure our distance across here, and we're going to get that equal across the middle where we put our shim and across the bottom where we put our shim. So after measuring here on the middle, we put some shims in here. We had to use a little bit more shim stock down here than we did up here, but that's not surprising. Nothing is ever straight. So we got one screw in, we ran out of battery here, so we're gonna get the second screw in here, and then we're gonna put one more shim on the bottom. And we've already stuck the door on here just to make sure, because like I say many times on this channel, I'm not an expert, and this is the first time I've ever done this. Really, it's the first time I've ever hung on a door like this. So if I'm doing it wrong, somebody please let me know. But it seems to be working. All right, when we took this apart, we saved the old trim. So we reinstalled the old door trim. It actually turned out okay. Looks a lot better. To do it, we used this mini air compressor and this air nailer that we just bought at the local Lowe's. This was a nice little deal. It was $149 for the compressor, the hose, and the nailer. And they had another deal there that included one of these brad nailers and then like a full-size nailer and an air stapler for $200. But we were looking at 18 volt, looking at some 18 volt cordless little brad nailers, but they wanted about $300. So for $150, this is a good little setup. Now he's got an air compressor. You can use that for all kinds of things, blowing up tires, of course, and put an air nozzle on it and clean up the shop, that sort of stuff. But we got all this on, and for the other side, for the interior, we only have the two pieces, this side and the top. But we bought some trim. We got to double check and make sure it's the right stuff before we install this. But there we go. Let's see how this looks once we get the trim up. Okay, so we got getting the trim wrapped up on the inside here. We installed the door handle. This is the piece that we cut. Now I think it's about a 1/16 of an inch different, and it's not quite lining up with the angle here, but we're gonna put some caulking in there when we do everything else. And we still need to do just a little bit of drywall repair here. But there we go, earthquake damage, huh? Not too shabby. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do with the carpet. I don't think there's any repairing this carpet. It probably will cost more to have someone come in and put a piece of repair in there than to redo the whole carpet in the room, but that's okay. So, first time I ever hung a door. How about you, Lucas?
Yep, that's the first time.
So, between the two of us, we still don't know what the hell we're doing, and the door appears to be on here, so. There we we go. A little bit of paint, a little bit of caulking around here, and a very small amount of drywall repair. And I think we will be good to go on this door. It doesn't match the other doors in the house. You can see these have a little different style, but that's what they had. There's the trim on this side. Like I said, we don't know what we're doing exactly. So if you saw something that we did 100% wrong, let me know. I don't think we're going to change it though, because the door appears to operate just fine. There you have it. I don't know if it's a job well done, but it's a job done well. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I really like to come here and help them out when they need a little bit of help on stuff. I mean, it's always good to visit. And Alaska's beautiful, and of course, visiting my lovely little granddaughter is beautiful as well. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.